I raised her, loved her, showed up when no one else did. At her wedding, she thanked her stepdad, called him the man who stepped up. Didn't even mention me. I feel so empty inside. Throwaway for obvious reasons. This isn't one of those posts where I pretend to be neutral. I'm not. I've got pain and 20 years of history buried in this. I'm a guy who raised a girl like she was my own, and she thanked someone else for it. I met Alyssa first, Mia's mom. She was radiant in a slightly messy, deeply magnetic kind of way. You could tell she'd been through it, but she carried herself like someone who wanted to do better, even if she wasn't always sure. How? We met at a friend's birthday. Nothing wild, just pizza and cheap wine on a patio. She made me laugh. I made her breathe. That's how she put it later. She told me about Mia on our third date. We were sitting on my couch watching a movie neither of us liked, and she turned and said, "I should tell you now, I've got a daughter. She's 4, and I don't do casual." It wasn't a test. It was a filter. I said, "Okay," and meant it. She watched me for a second like she didn't believe it. I added, "If you're in, I'm in. That includes her." She didn't kiss me. She hugged me. Tight. Quiet. That's the first time I felt it. This might be bigger than me. I didn't meet Mia for a few more weeks. Alyssa was careful, and honestly, I respected that. When I finally did, it was in a park. Spring afternoon. Big old playground. She was wearing ladybug rain boots and a sparkly purple shirt, clung to Alyssa's leg like her life depended on it. I waved. She stared. I didn't push, just sat in the grass and let her get used to the idea of me being there. The second time we met, I brought her one of those giant bubble wands. She didn't say a word, just took it and ran toward the grass, blowing. Sloppy, crooked bubbles until she was out of breath. Then she ran back, handed it to me, and said, "Your turn." We sat there for an hour trading that wand back and forth like it was a baton. That's how it started, not with words, with time. I never tried to be her dad. Not at first. I was just her mom's boyfriend, the guy who sometimes stayed for dinner and made the best mac and cheese according to her very scientific taste test ranking system. She warmed up fast, though. Started asking if I was coming over when I wasn't. Wanted to sit by me at dinner. Grabbed my hand without thinking about it. That part got me. Alyssa moved in after about 8 months. It wasn't planned. Her lease was ending, money was tight, and the place wasn't great for a kid anyway. She asked if it would be too much. It wasn't. I bought a second dresser for Mia, painted a wall in the spare room pink and blue, let her pick out a nightlight shaped like a turtle. I wasn't trying to prove anything, I just wanted them both to stay. Living together was messy, in that kind of beautiful way where your socks start showing up in someone else's drawer and suddenly, someone small is calling your dog hers. We weren't perfect. Alyssa had bad days. Stress hit her hard. She snapped sometimes and cried after, but she was there, and I was too. Mia flourished, drew pictures of the 3 of us, started correcting people who said, "Your mom and her boyfriend." He's not just her boyfriend. He's ours. That one stayed with me. One night, Mia woke up screaming from a nightmare. First real one. Alyssa was dead asleep. I ran in. She was sitting up, sobbing, clutching her blanket. I scooped her up, sat on the edge of the bed, and just held her. She buried her face in my chest and whispered, "I thought you were gone." That's when she first called me Dad. Not loud, not proud, just scared. And it broke me in the softest way. The next morning, she said it again, this time with cereal in her mouth. "Dad, can I have the last donut?" Alyssa froze at the stove. Looked at me, I nodded, smiled. And just like that, we stopped pretending I was just Mom's boyfriend. Mia started kindergarten that fall. She cried the first day, not because she was scared, because I couldn't stay with her. I crouched down in the hallway, held her hands, and said, "You're gonna have a great day, and I'll be right here when it's done," she asked. "Pinky promise?" I held up my pinky. When she ran out after school and tackled me in the pickup line, the teacher said she talked about her dad all day. I didn't correct her. I started packing her lunch with little sticky notes inside, goofy doodles, knock-knock jokes, terrible puns, sometimes just, "I love you," even if you don't finish your carrots. One day she gave me a folded piece of notebook paper in return. Crayon scribbled all over it. It said, "You're my best dad." I kept that note, still have it, in a box in the back of my closet. Alyssa had her good moments. She really did. We had quiet nights, family dinners, holidays that felt like the kind you want to remember. But she also had these shadows. There were days she'd sleep until noon, nights she'd get mean over nothing, mood swings, missed appointments, forgotten birthdays. I started doing more. Quietly. Mia never noticed. I made sure of it. I brought up therapy once, for us, for Alyssa, for the whole family. She got defensive, said I was trying to fix her and acting like something's wrong all the time. There was a look in her eye that night, one I hadn't seen in a while. Not angry, scared. I didn't push. I wish I had. Mia started calling me Dad full-time around age 7. No hesitation, no correction, at school, in drawings, when she talked to strangers. One time at the grocery store, she said, "My dad says I can pick whatever cereal I want." Some woman nearby said, "She looks just like you." I laughed so hard I almost cried. I thought about adopting her, brought it up gently one night after Mia went to bed, said we didn't need to rush, that I'd do the paperwork, that it would just make everything official. Alyssa didn't say no, but she said, "Let's just wait. She already calls you Dad. That's what matters." I let it go. But something about it felt off. That winter, Alyssa relapsed. I came home from work and found her passed out on the bathroom floor. Pills, half a bottle of something on the counter. Mia was in her room playing with Legos. She didn't see anything. I cleaned it up, called her sister, took Mia to stay at my parents' for the weekend. That was the night something in me shifted. Not for Mia, for Alyssa. Rehab. Again. This time I didn't beg her to go, I just handled it. I filed for temporary custody, bought Mia new snow boots, made her favorite spaghetti. She didn't cry when Alyssa left. She just asked me, "Is she gonna come back nicer this time?" I didn't know how to answer that. Full-time parenting isn't heroic. It's relentless. It's forgotten. It's middle-of-the-night vomit and math homework and pretending to like clay figurines that look like melting animals. But Mia made it worth it. She was funny, weird, fiercely loyal. She started telling people we were a team. That felt right. She was 8 when she wrote her first school essay about me. The prompt was, "Who is your hero?" She didn't tell me about it. The teacher mailed it home with a note that said, "This made me cry. You're doing something right." The last line said, "My dad isn't my real dad. He's my forever one." I put that one in the same box as the note, right on top. Alyssa came back. "Clean," she said. She looked better, clearer skin, brighter eyes, steady hands. She hugged Mia like she hadn't missed a thing. I stood there watching them and felt weird, not angry, not jealous, just displaced, like someone walked back into a room I'd made, my home, and acted like they still owned it. We had a long talk that night, me and Alyssa. She thanked me, said she was grateful, that she knew how hard it must have been. She asked if we could split time again, not full custody, just weekends to start. I didn't love it, but I said yes, because it wasn't about me. It was about what Mia needed. The first time Mia left with her again, she was nervous, packed her stuffed turtle, asked if she could call me at bedtime. I told her, "Of course, you can always call." She called that night, and the next one. Then not at all. By week 3, she stopped asking if she could take the turtle. At first, things seemed okay. Mia was happy, bouncing between houses, telling me about the cat Alyssa adopted, the new chore chart, how Mom's new boyfriend is so cool. I smiled, listened, took notes on the boyfriend. Tried not to panic when she called him Jake with the same excitement she used to have saying my name. A few months in, the tone changed. Mia started saying things like, "Mom says I don't have to do things your way anymore." Or, "Mom says you were really stressed back then. It was subtle, not malicious, just pointed, like someone else was starting to narrate the past." I confronted Alyssa about it. She laughed it off. "She's just figuring things out. Let her have both of us." I said, "I don't mind sharing. I mind being edited." She rolled her eyes. "You're so sensitive sometimes, Mark." She hadn't called me Mark in years. Mia stopped calling me Dad around Alyssa. It started small, switching to Mark when she'd FaceTime me from her mom's. Then in person, when they were both around. I didn't call her out. But one day I asked her gently why. She looked down and said, "It's just easier." That hurt more than anything she could have said directly. Jake was around a lot. He was fine, friendly, polished, worked in tech. Bought Mia a skateboard and a fancy hoodie with her favorite anime on it. She liked him. I told myself that was okay. Better she likes him than fears him. But I started noticing she mentioned him more and me less. And every time I nodded and said, "That's great," even when it wasn't. She spent her 13th birthday with Alyssa, first one we hadn't shared. I asked if I could take her out the next day. Just lunch, just us. She agreed, brought Jake with her, said he really wanted to come. I didn't argue, but I paid for everything and went home and cried like a kid left off the guest list. She moved in with Alyssa when she turned 17, said it was just to try, said she wanted to be closer to school, said she'd still come by for dinners. The first week she did. The second she canceled last minute. By the third she didn't respond. I set a plate for her anyway, just in case. Mia called to say she was moving into an apartment near campus. She sounded excited, bubbly, distracted. I asked if she needed help hauling furniture, setting things up. She paused and said, "Oh, Jake's helping. He's got a truck." I told her to let me know if she needed anything. She said, "Of course," then never called back. I still paid her car insurance, still sent money every month toward her tuition. Never asked her to say thank you. But God, I hoped she would. She didn't. Not once. One of my co-workers, who didn't know the whole story, sent me a Facebook post. "Look how grown up your daughter is." So sweet. The post was from Mia's profile. Caption, "So lucky to have the best parents in the world." The photo, Alyssa and Jake Mia in the middle. I stared at it for a long time before closing the app. I invited her to lunch. Nothing fancy. Just our old favorite diner, the place with the strawberry milkshakes and the jukebox. She said sure, showed up 20 minutes late, spent most of the meal scrolling her phone. I asked how school was. She said fine. I asked how Jake was. She said, great. Then I asked if she missed how things used to be. She looked confused. What do you mean? I told her I felt like I was losing her, that I missed her, that I didn't want to force anything. But it hurt, watching myself be rewritten in real time. She stirred her drink and said, "You were there because she couldn't be." Just like that, not cruel, not angry, just flat, like she believed it. I couldn't finish my food. I didn't ask her to explain. I just told her, "You'll always be my kid." She looked up at me with those eyes I missed so much, the same eyes she would give me as a kid. But I couldn't shake off that feeling that our bond would soon be lost. Her birthday came a month later. I mailed her a card. No cash inside. Just some words. "I still love you, daughter. Call me sometime." No response. I found out about the engagement through a mutual friend, not her. Not Alyssa. Not even Jake. Some old neighbor who ran into Alyssa at the grocery store. They're planning a spring wedding. It's going to be beautiful. I smiled, said I was happy for her, then went home and sat in the dark for an hour. 2 weeks later, a cream-colored envelope arrived in my mailbox. No return address. Inside, the invitation. My name spelled wrong. No dad, just Mark plus guest. And that was when I knew I wasn't being invited as her father. I was being invited as a formality. I went to the rehearsal dinner. I wasn't sure if I should, but I figured, what's worse, showing up and feeling stupid, or staying home and wondering what I missed? The restaurant was nice. Upscale, rustic chic, all white tablecloths and exposed beams. I walked in and saw the seating chart. I was at table 6, with some cousins I hadn't seen in 5 years. Jake sat at the head table, next to Alyssa. Of course, Mia saw me and waved, distant, polite. She looked beautiful, older, happier than I'd seen her in years. She gave me a quick side hug. So glad you could make it. That was it. No, thanks for coming. No, it means a lot. I tried to tell myself I was imagining things, but when she introduced the speeches, she called Jake the man who's been a rock for me and Mom. No mention of me. I found out she picked out her dress with Alyssa and Jake. I didn't even know what it looked like. What I did know, I paid for it. I called the boutique myself when she first got engaged, put down my card, told them to call me. When it was ready, they never did. I wrote her a letter that night, sat in my hotel room with a bourbon in one hand and a pen in the other. I didn't write anything angry, nothing bitter, just real. I don't know what happened to us. Maybe I made mistakes, but every single thing I did for you, I did because I loved you, because I believed you were mine, not by blood, by choice. I slid it under her hotel room door the morning of the wedding. Don't know if she ever read it. The ceremony was outside, mid-afternoon sun, pale roses, the kind of weather you hope for and never actually get. I sat near the back. "Didn't want to be in the way," Alyssa cried. Jake beamed. Mia walked down the aisle with Jake holding her arm. I clapped when she reached the altar, not because I felt included, because I still wanted her to be happy, even if it wasn't with me in the picture anymore. The reception was beautiful, the kind of thing you see in magazines, twinkle lights, gold cutlery, live music, people laughing, dancing, clinking glasses. I stood by the bar, tried not to drink too much, smiled when people came up to say hi. Most of them were strangers now. I kept looking for her, for some moment, some glance, some acknowledgement. It didn't come. Then came the speeches. Alyssa went first, talked about how proud she was of her little girl, got misty. Everyone clapped. Jake went next, said how honored he felt to be part of Mia's life, how lucky he was to be called dad by someone who didn't have to. And then Mia stood. I braced myself. I thought, here it is, the moment. She'll say something, just a sentence. She talked about love, about growth, about forgiveness. She thanked her mom for being strong. She thanked Jake for being her anchor, her example of what a man should. He said, "You stepped up when no one else did. You showed me what a real father looks like." People clapped. Jake got teary. I just sat there, waiting, and she moved on. I waited until the clapping stopped, finished my drink, stood up, walked past the tables, past the fairy lights and champagne glasses and the version of her life I wasn't part of. No scene, no speech, just a quiet exit from a place I never really belonged to anymore. No one followed me out. I got in the car and drove home in my suit, hands shaking, heart sunken. I didn't go straight home. I drove for a while. No music. Just the sound of the road and my own heartbeat in my ears. Pulled into a grocery store parking lot, turned the engine off, and sat there under those harsh, flickering lights. And then it happened. I broke. Not in a dignified, one tear rolling down my cheek kind of way. I sobbed, face in my hands, chest heaving, body shaking, the kind of crying that doesn't feel like sadness. It feels like rage and loss having a fist fight inside your ribs. I was angry. Angry at her. Angry at Alyssa. Angry at Jake, at the whole damn room of people who clapped like I was never part of her story. But I was also still in love with the kid I raised, the one who used to draw pictures of us in crayon, the one who called me daddy, through a gap-toothed smile, the one who used to say I was her hero. I missed her so bad it made my stomach hurt, and in that parking lot, with my tie undone and my heart cracked in places I didn't know existed, I said it out loud. To no one. What? Was I to you? I didn't get an answer, but I said it again anyway, and again, and again, until my voice was gone, and all I had left was silence. I haven't heard from her since. That was months ago. My phone's silent. My inbox is empty. I think she noticed I left. I don't know if she cares. I've told this story to a couple of people in my life. Some say I overreacted, that I should have just been happy for her. That the day wasn't about me. Others say I gave too much for too long, and I was right to finally stop pretending. I don't know anymore. I just know it broke something in me. I don't think I'll ever get back. Update. Didn't think I'd ever come back to this, but a few people asked what happened. Truth is, I didn't have anything new to say for a long time, but last week she called out of nowhere. First time in almost a year. It was short, awkward. She asked how I was doing. I lied and said I was good. She said she saw something that reminded her of me, a diner we used to go to. Said she drove past it and cried in the car. Then she said, "I'm sorry I didn't thank you." Just that. One sentence, flat, quiet. I didn't know what to say back. I think she wanted me to say it's okay, to tell her it didn't matter, to let her off the hook so she could sleep easier. But I didn't say that. I said, "Thanks for saying that," and that was it. She texted later asking if I wanted to meet for coffee. I haven't answered yet. But the truth is, I wanted her to say, "I miss you." I don't know. I raised that girl. I still love her. But I don't know if I can trust someone who only sees my worth in hindsight. And yeah, I know some people never get that call, that apology, that olive branch. But part of me still remembers what it felt like to sit at her wedding and realize I didn't exist to her anymore. I don't know if I can unfeel that. Maybe I'll meet her. Maybe I won't. But if I do, I'll bring the letter I wrote her before the wedding, the one I never got back. Maybe I'll let her read it this time, or maybe I'll just leave it on the table and walk away. Again.